Hello YouTubers. Well, what have I got here this time on my saw workbench? Well, I've got a Husqvarna 362 XP Special. Yes, they do exist. This is an actual 362 XP Special. They had the original 362 XPs, and then they had a later version which was the 362 XP Special. Now, what was so special about the Special? Well, these were the large bar mount saws. The early 362 XPs were the small bar mount saws. These were all built on, this saw was all built on the same crankcase chassis platform as the 365s, 371, 372s. This being the later version, it had the chain adjuster in the side cover instead of in the front of the crankcase like the early ones, and a couple other little things. They had Husqvarna had made the original 362 XP for a few years, and then they stopped production. Apparently they brought them back a few years later and they called them Special. What's different about them is the cylinder. Instead of being the original edition 365s were of course the 48mm top ends, these were actually a 47mm top end on all of them. Anyways, I'm going to quit yakking and get right out of here. I'm going to start tearing the top end down on this one. What's wrong with this one? Well, I can tell you what's wrong with it. It's got a little bit of a rub or a score on the piston. I picked this up as a junk saw again. It was running, but was brought into a dealer, I guess, or something for repair, and then when they found out the cost, the customer abandoned the saw and left it there. The dealer had this sitting around for a couple of years, and of course, like I say, I seem to know everybody in the country or whatever, and stuff like this comes up, it's offered to me. So anyways, I couldn't resist. I got it for cheap, and kind of wanted one to add into the collection to fill the gap there, to have the whole family of these saws, so to speak. So the version of this would have been the Johnsonred version of this would have been, in the early ones would have been the early version of the 362 XP would have been the 2063, I guess, Johnsonred, and these later 362 XP Specials would have been, I believe, the 2163. So, but anyways, I'm going to get on with it here, and I'll set you folks up on the tripod here, and then I'm going to start tearing this saw down, and we're going to get into it, and I want to see just how bad this saw is. Yeah, so anyways, I'm going to get right at it here. I already went ahead and took some of the smaller stuff here, loosened it up and got it off. I'm going to take the handlebar off here. So I'm just go ahead and pulling the handlebar off, because I'm going to I haven't dug into this saw yet. I just superficially went over a few of the smaller things to see what is all wrong with it. Pretty clean old saw, actually. It's another one of these. It's definitely seen use, but it's not busted up, broken up, or anything like that. The top cover and everything is in good shape on it. No cracks or funky breaks or anything. It's overall, the body of the saw is in pretty good shape, so this is definitely a candidate worth rebuilding. A bit dirty yet. I should have went ahead and I guess pressure washed it before pulling it apart, but I just want to see just how bad this cylinder is and what's all going to need. So come on. I went ahead and broke the two back cylinder screws loose here before off camera here. I needed to get the handlebar off to get the two front ones here, so. This saw apparently has never been apart. This is all OEM original. Like I say, it's not a high hour saw. Now the reason that they scored the cylinder, I pretty much already figured it out. This is the problem. The muffler got water inside of it, got corroded, There's rust inside this muffler, and I believe that's what happened. It sucked a chunk of rust back into the front of the cylinder and scuffed the piston. Now I've seen this happen before. If you put dirty rusty old mufflers onto a saw, that's exactly what's going to happen. I've seen it happen many times, and well, if you leave your saws out to be to the elements, you can expect that kind of stuff's going to happen. I love these old. I like these these chassis. They're very easy, very simple to work on. Go ahead and unhook the throttle, throttle cable, and go ahead and remove this this guide or boot here for your adjustment. See what I'm doing? Stick my head in the way of the camera. All that kind of stuff. These things or whatever can either. Well, I don't particularly care for them. They always seem to somehow be in the way. Now I see they never did go ahead and the EPA carb limiters are still on here. Those stops, which will be getting corrected here shortly. I like to remove this as a whole assembly instead of fighting with it just to undo this. I already, like I said, undid the impulse line and the fuel line. Your choke lever rod here, you need to get that out of unhook it from the carb here, from the choke. And then they got this little saddle notch here where your carb holder clips into. So just go ahead and pop that out of the holder. Go ahead and remove that choke rod, and there we go. Now this is ready to lift off, and just like that, take and pull the whole thing up and off. Now you got to get your throttle cable out of the holder there, that little partition wall keeper there. It's got a little arm there. You need to get that out of the way, and then you just lift the whole assembly off here. Bits of dirt that I don't want to get into the lower crankcase, and yeah, there's literally there's little to no metal or aluminum transfer in the cylinder. The cylinder's in beautiful shape, so I'm very pleased to see that. And, oop. Dummy. Lose my cylinder bolts. The problem with these 47mm top ends on these 362s is they're a bit of a rare duck. They're hard to find. You can still get OEM pistons from Husqvarna, but they're silly expensive. In my market here, I think they're around the $200 mark for a replacement piston. This piston has got a little bit of rubbing and scoring. The cylinder is in very nice shape. Now this was, like I say, this was dirt ingestion into the front of the cylinder. And, well, I don't know if another piston from another saw would fit in here. They're pretty specific, I think, from what I understand. From what I see here, the bottom end, crank bearings are in good shape, but it's awful dry. So somebody, I'm sure, was running their 50-to-1 EPA mix and saying that that's all fine and dandy, but I'm not a fan of that business. So save my other bolt so that doesn't get lost. Okay, well, this saw doesn't have an excessive amount of runtime from what I can see here, so like I say, the ring is nice and free and clear. It's not the piston isn't scored so bad that it's we've got a bit of a thunderstorm, rainstorm going on right now. So if you hear that noise in the background here, it's rain coming down on the shop roof here like crazy. So that's what you hear. There we go. We got the piston ring out. I'm going to go ahead and dig a little more into this, and I'll bring you back here when I get things cleaned up here. And what I think I'm going to do is just take and buff these rub marks out of this piston, clean up that ring a little bit, which seems fine, but I'm just going to feel for any rough spots. And well, you know what? I think I'm just going to... It still had decent compression, even though, because the cylinder isn't bad. I'm just going to clean up the cylinder a little bit with some Scotch-Brite or some extra fine sandpaper, hone it up a little bit, and well, I'm going to try and reassemble it the way it is and see if we can make it run. Well, anyways, been at this for quite a while here already. Got the piston cleaned up the best I can anyways. It's not the best, but it'll have to do. Like I say, these 47mm pistons for these 362s are a little bit hard to find. The cylinder came out really nice. Can't see it on camera, but there was a little bit of aluminum transfer inside of it, but I cleaned it up with a little bit of whatever, a little bit of fine emery cloth, and I had some fine Scotch-Brite that was almost a little bit too fine or whatever, but it worked. It took me a while to work at it, but there's nothing inside to catch on anything. And now this is, I will say, is an interesting cylinder. This is the 62cc version of the 365, 371, 372, like I mentioned before. This has got the closed transfer port, but they only have a single on each side, or just a dual transfer port. It's not a quad port. These were just in the place of where there should be the second port. It's blocked off. It's solid casted. There's just a single port, one on each side for your transfers. Kind of a strange setup, but apparently that's what makes them real hard runners, and they're supposed to be quite the screamers. So I know they do run at a higher RPM than quite a bit higher RPM than the 365s. So like I say, this is a Molly cylinder, so this is in the OEM, and like I say, they're 47mm instead of the 48mm like on the 365s. So yeah, I think we're going to call this a video, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and polish out the exhaust port a little bit. I'm going to texture the intake a little bit to get a little better atomization of the fuel. And I don't know what I'm going to do over here. If I'm going to raise the lower cylinder wall skirt here just a little bit to the transfer port here to give it a little bit extra flow. I don't know. I do know, like I say, I will polish out the exhaust port, and I will texture the intake port. But I'm not quite sure here what I'm going to do with these transfers here. Just leave them alone. I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and reuse the piston and ring that's in here. I could use a caber ring, a replacement, but I don't have one right now. So I'm just going to put it together, and we're going to run it, see what we got here. So anyways, just like to say thanks everybody for stopping by and checking out another one of my videos, and you know the YouTube routine. Leave the old thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you all on the next one.